Animal tissues. The human body is made up of different organs. Some organs are located on the outside of the body. They are called external organs. These organs can be easily seen. But there are some organs that are situated inside the body. They are called internal organs. These organs are not seen from outside. For example, the heart, blood vessels, intestines. Many internal organs in our body work together. For example, the lungs, respiratory tubes, and the contraction and relaxation of the special muscles help us to breathe. Do you know? Blood is also a kind of tissue. Blood flows and carries various substances from one part of the body to another. For example, it carries oxygen and nutrients to all the cells. It also collects wastes from all the parts of the body and carries them to the liver and kidney for disposal. Different organs carry out different functions. On the basis of the functions they perform, tissues are classified into different types. The main types of animal tissues are epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. Of these, the epithelial tissue is a simple animal tissue, while the connective tissue, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue are complex tissues. Let us now understand about simple tissues. Simple tissues. Simple animal tissue consists of one type of cells. Group of such cells are called as epithelial tissues. Let us understand about epithelial tissues in detail. Epithelial tissue. We know that the skin is the protective covering of our body. If we observe the outside of our palm with the help of a magnifying glass, we can see tightly packed squares and pentagons. These are the epithelial tissues. The protective covering of the animal body is called the epithelial tissue. The cells of this tissue are tightly packed and form a continuous sheet. All epithelium is usually separated from the underlying tissue by an extracellular fibrous basement membrane. Any substance, before entering the body, has to first face the epithelial tissue. The skin, the lining of the mouth, lining of the blood vessels, lung alveoli are made of epithelial tissue. The functions of all the body systems of our body are different. Hence, it is necessary that they remain separate from each other. Do you know how this is possible? There are epithelial tissues between the different organs of the body and the organ systems. The epithelial tissues, in the form of a continuous layer, act as a barrier to keep two organs separate from each other. Thus, the different organs and the organ systems remain separate from each other and can carry out their functions smoothly. There are epithelial tissues between the different organs and organ systems. Let us now study the different types of epithelial tissues. On the basis of the structures of the cells of the epithelial tissues and the types of layers they form, they can be of different types. With the help of this table, let us understand the structure of the epithelial tissue, their location, and functions. Simple squamous epithelium. The cells of this tissue are extremely thin, fine, and flat, and form a delicate lining. These cells are situated in the lining of the mouth, esophagus, blood vessels, lung alveoli. It performs the function of transportation of substances through selectively permeable membrane. Stratified squamous epithelium. The cells are arranged to form a pattern of layers. They are found in the outer layer of the skin. It protects the body organs, prevents prevents wear and tear of the skin. Glandular epithelium. Sometimes a portion of the epithelial tissue folds upward to form a multicellular gland. This structure is called glandular epithelium. These tissues are situated in the inner layers of the skin. They perform the function of secreting substances like sweat, oil, mucus from the skin. Columnar epithelium. The cells of this tissue are tall and arranged like pillars. They are situated in the inner lining of the intestine of the alimentary canal. They secrete the digestive enzymes and perform the function of absorption of nutrients from the digested food. Ciliated columnar epithelium. Cells of these tissues have hair-like projections. They are found in the respiratory tract. Due to the movement of the cilia, the mucus and the air is pushed forward to clear the respiratory tract. Cuboidal epithelium. The cells of these tissues are cube-shaped. Lining of kidney tubules and ducts of the salivary glands have cuboidal epithelium. It helps in the absorption of useful material from the urine before it is passed out. It helps in the secretion of saliva. The types of epithelial tissues that we have studied so far consist of only one type of cells. We know that simple tissues consist of one type of cells. Hence, epithelial tissues are simple tissues. After studying about simple tissues, let us now study about complex tissues. Complex tissues. If we observe a permanent slide of blood under a compound microscope, we can see a mixture of cells of different types, colors, and shapes. Thus, we can say that blood is a type of complex tissue. Complex tissue is made up of more than one type of cells. They work together. We have already mentioned that complex tissues are of three types: connective tissue, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. Let us now understand about complex tissues in detail. Connective tissue. The tissues which connect the different parts of the body to each other are called connective tissues. The cells of this tissue are not joined to each other, and there are matrices in their vacant places. The matrix may be jelly-like, fluid, dense, or rigid. Blood, lymph, areolar tissue, adipose tissue, cartilage, bone, and tendons, and also ligaments are types of connective tissues. Let us understand the different types of connective tissues with the help of a table. Blood. It is a fluid connective tissue. It has a fluid matrix called plasma, in which red blood corpuscles, white blood corpuscles, and blood platelets are suspended. Blood flows throughout the body by the closed circulatory system. The blood transports oxygen, nutrients from the food, hormones, and excretory products. Lymph. This is the fluid flowing from the blood vessels. Red blood corpuscles are absent in them. Lymph is present surrounding the cells. The lymph protects the body from the transmission of diseases. Areolar tissue. This tissue is composed of different types of loose cells. It consists of jelly-like matrix and flexible fibers. It is found in between the skin and muscles around the blood vessels. It helps in the repair of the tissues and supports the internal organs. Adipose tissue. The cells in this tissue are filled with fat globules. This tissue is found beneath the skin and between the internal organs. Due to the storage of fat, it acts as an insulator and provides energy. Do you know why thin persons feel colder than fat persons? fat persons, there is more storage of fat compared to thin persons. Due to more storage of fats, there is more insulation. In thin persons, as there is less fat compared to fat persons, thin persons feel more cold. Cartilage. Cells present in this tissue are fibrous, flexible, and have a jelly-like matrix in them. These tissues are found in the nose, ears, trachea, and larynx. The cartilage smoothens the bone surface and softens the joints. Bone. This tissue is made up of a matrix composed of calcium phosphate, and there are cells called osteocytes embedded in them. Bones are present all over the body with a specific structure. Bones support all the organs and help in movement. Bones are strong but are non-flexible, hence they cannot be bent. Tendons and ligaments. Tendons are fibrous and very strong but have limited flexibility, while ligaments are very elastic with considerable strength. Tendons and ligaments are present in the joints. Tendons connect the muscles to the bones, while ligaments connect the bones. After understanding about connective tissues, now let us understand about muscular tissues. Muscular tissue. Let us perform an activity to understand about muscular tissues. Activity. Let us bend our arm at the elbow. What do you see? Do you see any difference in the muscles present above and below the upper arm? When the arm is bent at the elbow, the muscles present on the upper side of the upper arm contract, while those in the lower side relax. When we straighten our arm, the muscles present on the upper side relax and the muscles on the lower side contract. The muscles revert to their original state. In the same way, when we bend our leg at the knee and then straighten it, the muscles in the thigh and calf contract and relax. Why does contraction and relaxation take place? There are specific proteins present in the muscles, which are called as contractile proteins. Muscular fibers and muscular tissues are made from contractile proteins. The muscular tissues are made up of long cells. Muscles show movement due to the contraction and relaxation of these proteins. Thus, muscles are contractile tissues. Let us now study the different types of muscular tissues. Muscular tissues are of three types: striated muscles, unstriated muscles, and cardiac muscles. Let us understand types of these muscles, the shapes of their cells, their structure and function with the help of this table. Striated muscles. The cells in these tissues are long, cylindrical, unbranched, and multinucleate. Under the microscope, these muscles show alternate light and dark bands or striations. Hence, they are called as striated muscles. As these muscles are connected to the bones, they are called skeletal muscles. Movements of hands and legs, running, talking are movements that are carried out by these muscles. The movements of these muscles take place by our will, hence they are called voluntary muscles. There are some movements of our muscles that do not take place by our will. Let us learn more about them. Unstriated muscles. The cells of these tissues are spindle-shaped, small, and uninucleate. These muscles do not have striations, hence they are called as unstriated muscles. These muscles are not connected to bones. The movements of these muscles are not controlled by our will, hence they are called as involuntary muscles. The opening and closing of our eyelids, the movement of food in the alimentary canal, and the contraction and relaxation of the blood vessels take place by these muscles. Cardiac muscles. The cells in these tissues are cylindrical, branched, and uninucleate. There are dark and light bands or striations on these muscles. The heart is made of these muscles. Since we do not have control on the movements of these muscles, hence they are also called as involuntary muscles. The muscles of the heart show rhythmic contraction and relaxation throughout the life. In other words, all the movements of the muscles of the heart are controlled by these muscles. After learning about the different types of muscular tissues, can you tell what types of muscles are present in the diaphragm of the respiratory system? Respiration is controlled by the chest muscles and the muscular diaphragm. We do not have control on these movements. That is, the diaphragm muscles of the respiratory system are unstriated and involuntary. Now let us understand the other types of complex tissues. Nervous tissue. We can identify many things easily even when our eyes are closed. We can identify things like bench, notebooks, books, compass box, etc. without seeing them, that is, only by touching them. How does this happen? Many a times, we can identify the singer of the song that we hear on the radio. We can also identify correctly the food item cooked in the kitchen. How are all these things possible? We are able to respond to the stimulus of touch, sound, smell, and color due to the nervous tissues of the body. The nervous tissues are highly specialized for being stimulated and then transmitting the stimulus very rapidly from one place to another within the body. A neuron consists of a cell body with a nucleus and cytoplasm, from which long, thin hair-like processes arise. Usually, each neutron has a single long process called axon, and many short, branched processes called dendrites. An individual nerve cell may be up to a meter long. Many nerve fibers bound together by the connective tissue make a nerve. The brain, spinal cord, and the network of nerves present all over the body are all composed of the nervous tissue. The functional combination of nerve tissue and muscular tissue enables animals to respond to stimuli. For example, if we unknowingly touch a hot vessel, then even before we perceive anything, our hand is moved backwards. After learning about animal tissues, let us now understand about plant tissues.